I had to text the other ones because I don't think I could have, done a video without losing my shit. Because I've worked through a lot of it. And for me, it's not blame or forgiving myself for even letting it be there, because that was in 2 months. But I realized that I don't think I ever went into how terrified I was on Machete Day. Joy texted me and he had punched holes through her wall. He woke up aggro and she was telling me he was on his way home, and he had already had an ultimatum of, if you drink and don't come home that night, that don't come home. And he came home in aggro mode. So Joy was trying to warn me of be prepared. He's trashed and coming home. He was trashed the next morning when he came home. Or at least he was definitely not him. He was one of those totally lost. And when he came home, if you've ever met somebody that gives you that pit in your stomach and the bad juju, you can see it in their eyes, they are just plain fucking evil. It was evil, and then it would switch to Steve's eyes crying for help. Almost like those scary movies where they have those little glimmers of The Exorcist where the person's help me. He'd start crying and say, I want to die. I don't know what's going on in my head. I can't handle this anymore. I never want to hurt you guys, and all I'm doing is hurting, and I can't figure it out, and nobody can help me, and I feel crazy, and all of the above. To, I fucking hate you, you cunt bitch, let me out of the house, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna go get a gun. And I remember him screaming and yelling I was screaming back. And I lost my voice. While you're screaming, you know how voice just cuts out because you're screaming so loud? He grabbed the ceiling fan and was trying to rip it off the ceiling. My old green table, I had my old antique green table that was Michelle's parents that I grew up with, and I had bought it from them. He broke 2 of the pieces off the end by punching them because he knew it meant so much to me. And he was just wanting to die. And I remember telling him, and I would just keep repeating, I love you enough that I will put my life on the line and not call the cops right now to make sure that you can have a new start without this on your record. So please, stop screaming. Stop calling me names. Just know that you're loved and I love you, and we don't want you dead, and I don't want you in jail. So we're screaming, and I'm screaming and crying and telling him to stop, and I love him. And he goes running for the door. He shoved me so hard into the door jamb that I had bruises all up and down the side of my body for a month. I could barely lift my shoulder. And I stood with the machete in the door, at the front door, you would see a freaking warrior, where it was across my chest. And then I would lift it up when he would go to hit me or anything, and he starts punching around my head and says that he will take me and kill me to get through this door. And remember, Marcia and Marion are sitting on the phone this entire time. Him wishing me dead. I have blood splatter that starts splattering all around my head. I had blood splatter on my and he would take breaks because this went for about 45 minutes, and I don't know what he would do, but he would walk almost pace, and so he would leave me at the front door and I would stand there. And I remember picking up the phone out of my boob and starting to talk to Marcia and Marion, asking them how close they were. And she said, what do you mean? We're sitting on the couch and we just thought that you forgot we were on the phone and that you two were fighting. If it's really that bad, why haven't you called the cops yet? No, we haven't left. And I started screaming at them, going, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? 2 days before I let you hear your son crying on the phone in a parking lot because he dropped Carissa's cake and wouldn't come home because you wouldn't love him anymore. And the only reason I ever let you hear that was for you to hear your son's cry for help, because he would have never told you any of it if he knew I let you be on speakerphone to hear his vulnerability and crying because he had dropped the cake and his parents wouldn't love him anymore. He would have killed me. But I remember putting it back in my boob because he was coming around the corner. And for some grace of God or something, because the girls were all waiting for me because it was team meeting, and I'm never late, ever, and I reprimand somebody who is. Megan somehow got switched over and heard what was going on, and she made it to me within minutes. Because during that time, those minutes until Megan got there, he's still punching around my head. And he went to go punch my face. No, he went and jumped towards the machete with his neck up. And because I had it held up at that point because he was trying to punch me. And he jumped at the machete and I moved it fast enough. Because he said, if I'm going to die, I would rather die by your hand. Because I'm already dead. With the way you're looking at me right now. And I told him there is no way that he was dying that day. That I will die before he dies. Before I let him out of that door, he will have to fucking kill me. And that's when he went to go punch me. And I kicked him in the balls, and that did not go over so well. And I started punching back, and he went to punch me. When he went to go punch me in the face, I've never seen a scarier dog in my life. Blue started foaming at the mouth this whole time. He's watching everything else and not knowing what to do because it's Steve. And he starts foaming, barking, got in the middle and dragged his ass. Steve had puncture wounds. Dragged him all the way down to Carissa's bedroom and pinned him in the corner long enough for me to get out. And when I ran outside, Megan was there, 7 months pregnant, and that woman made it to me before his own parents did. And luckily at that point, when Steve saw Megan, he went out to the backyard, got in the trailer, didn't know that we saw him get in the trailer, and Megan stood watch while she called Marcia and Marion and screamed and yelled. So once Marion and Marcia are there, and they start fighting us on him getting checked in for a 72-hour hold. Megan pushed me into the back office, held the door, and locked me in pretty much because Marcia had come in arguing, but saying how it was my fault. His hands were all tore up, and I instigated the whole thing when he should have been calling the cops on me. And I'm just such a drama queen. Oh, I was locked the fuck in a room because Megan lost her shit and pretty much said she was going to call the cops on them for not taking him in and being like, what is it? Safety to humanity, pretty much. And I just remember being shut in the back room in the office because Marcia came in and was arguing and telling me, screaming at me because I was in the kitchen and she pushed me to the back room, but that it was all my fault. I instigated the whole thing just to make him look crazy. I should go to hell and I need the loony bin and all of the above because his hands were so torn up and what I would have had to do to get him to that point. And Megan, when she pushed me in that back room, I was already shaking. I still had blood all over my face. And Megan's screaming and trying to get them to check him in. And she's gonna call the cops on them for contempt and blah, blah, blah. And I don't even remember all of it. I do remember her telling him what a piece of shit mother she should be. She should be ashamed of herself. And that she should rot in hell because he never deserved a mother like that. And that was part of the that was during that time I was behind the door, crunched down, shaking so bad, and I would see blood on me, and I would just try and get it off because you know how I feel about blood, but I couldn't even. I was like just hunched behind the door. I was delusional, shaking. And Megan saved my life that day. Saved my fucking life. So no, that was the way I got to say goodbye to Steve. So when I say I'm grateful for that last month of like hearing words that my husband said and not having that memory as much anymore, or how much it meant to not have it be Machete Day yesterday and be scared, was huge.